This right here is how it started. How it all started. Not too long after the server's big release, I came across an error in the server. This error completely interrupted everyone's gameplay and forces a shutdown on the server for about 15 to 30 minutes. I contacted the server owner Scout, but he told me this error was actually intended. Apparently this is called a sock op. What's a sock op? I don't know, don't ask me, but I guess that's what we're calling this thing now. Either way, Scout made it clear that this was a feature, and every night at midnight, the server shuts down to take a break and save the world's data. After passing this sock op off as nothing but a harmless feature, I decided to just ignore it, but then the server restart began happening more often. Soon sock ops stopped happening only at midnight and became more prominent around 10 p.m. Still, things were pretty tame, so naturally improvise, adapt, overcome. Just expect your replay recordings to be cut short at 10 and 12 p.m. I know, it's not fun. All these events, again, are pretty tame, and the sock op thing seemed to be pretty harmless. Until it didn't. You see, after playing for a good couple months, I kept running into the usual sock op reset. It was almost a welcome break from the Minecraft and YouTube grind, because I have no sense of pacing. But the more you encounter something, the more you learn. Whenever you read a book for the second time, you notice a new detail. Whenever you rewatch Technoblade's Potato Wars series for the millionth time, you encounter a new piece of footage you didn't see earlier. Whenever you play that one RPG all over again, there are some text boxes, some lines of dialogue you simply never encountered on your first playthrough. So naturally, after encountering the sock up feature so many times, I began to see the details. It felt like I was reading between the lines of code, the text I previously missed. I noticed inconsistencies in the save/load files. Sometimes the world wasn't exactly the same as it was when I got kicked. A couple blocks missing which I had just placed, a couple blocks placed which I had just broken. At first, I assumed it was nothing but a little delay in the saving and loading. Losing 5 minutes of progress never affected anyone, right? Dear God, how wrong I was. Again, I noticed these blips in time, these natural consequences of saving and loading the game, but then I noticed it. Missing items. I often found myself losing an item or even an entire shulker box of items, gone, into the abyss. Hey, see what I did? You see that? You see it? I'm funny, aren't I? Please laugh. Back to business, however, because tried as I may, I could not find these lost items. I looked all through my inventory, every chest in the area, anywhere I could have placed it. I used the tried and true, recommended by 9 out of 10 mothers, retrace your steps, but nothing. By this point, I knew that something was up. Missing items is too much of a glitch to overlook. Yeah, picking up a block after the save file is already created, and then it being undone when eventually that save file is loaded makes sense. But shouldn't the block be returned to its original location as well? It's like it got caught in a little rift of void somewhere between the overworld and my inventory. But by this point, my mind was focused on other things, and while I pushed this to the back of my mind, it was still there. It was just that, in the back of my mind, never forgotten. And it stayed that way, for a good while. More weeks, then more months went by, but I didn't forget. Not completely anyway, because soon the sock op error would return, and it was anything but done terrorizing our little server. After months of minimal effects on our server, the sock op suddenly decided now was its time to remind everyone what it could do. In one single sock op, not only did I find 2 versions of my shulker box of iron, but I found that my shulker box of redstone had mysteriously vanished. The sock op had both taken and given, not to mention that both items affected were my resource shulker boxes, very valuable assets of mine. That's it. If this sock op feature wants to hide so many of its little glitches and yet make its power known at the same time, then I'll give it all the attention it wants. At this point, the sock op glitch had gone way too far, way too far. And now it's got my full attention. The power to both give and take away, I can never resist such power. And thus, I promptly began experimenting. Did that just say? And thus, and A-N-D space T-H-U-S, comma. What? Bro, what was I on? If this sock op could do incredible things such as duping, then all I'd have to do was analyze this beast of a glitch and master it and turn it into my friend, not an enemy, a tool, not a weapon. So yeah, I could dupe everything I have, my trident, my armor, all my tools, weapons, all my very overpowered gear. However, we put it away because we're not going to do that. Let's sit down and have a chat about the integrity of the server. Upon first joining the server, I'd assumed I'd be forced to fight for survival like a lot of the servers such as Lifesteal. However, I found it to be more like Hermitcraft. In fact, it turns out that me, myself, and I were the most aggressive players here. Players? Never mind. And truthfully, I've played on servers where people have lied, cheated, manipulated, acted selfishly, or simply abandoned the server after the first 2 weeks, which is so common it might just be a natural phenomenon. But this server was different, and even though a decent number of people only played for the first 2 weeks, they were really fun to hang out with and make memories with. Even when basically everyone except me and the server owner Scout stopped playing after the first 2 weeks, we started hanging out. I got to know him better, and eventually I learned how cool it was to play with him. Scout being the only other person I can really play on with the server since everyone else left, I learned that he's a great builder, he's engaged with the server, plays regularly, and he doesn't take any one thing too seriously, like I often can. Now, not only as a player or a server member, but as a server owner as well. The server has had many issues in the past, and every single time I've approached Scout about something, which is, again, many times, sorry mate, he's always expressed interest in fixing said server and gets to it right away. But most importantly, this man shows an impressive amount of selflessness and consideration for others, which are traits I wish I was as skilled in. Basically, the man's a real one, and to cheat the server in any way would take advantage of such rare kindness you see in people today, so I will not be using this glitch in the server for any reason, except for the test I did with the chest, but I burned the items, I burned those. Thank you for listening to my TED Talk. You should really go show some support to his channel and efforts with whatever way editor version of me is using. Also, don't forget to subscribe to me. Peace out.
You